The Book of Destiny. Translation of Kitab-ul-Taqdeer. Author Ghulam Ahmed Parwez. Translated by Dr. Ejaz Rasool. Glasgow, UK. ISBN number 9798884207042. 14 Chapter 14, Yakfiru liman yashayu wa yu'atzibu man yashayu. In some verses of the Quran these kinds of words appear. Yakfiru liman yashayu wa yu'atzibu man yashayu. 3. 129. And their literal translation is done as Allah forgives whoever He wishes, and allots punishment. Azab. To whoever He wishes. And the structure which is raised on the foundation of this translation is obvious. The final consequence, or outcome, of this process of righteousness and guidance and law of requital is azab or makfirat. And if its state is also such that there is no defined principle for it, nor any procedure or law, He gives punishment to whoever He pleases, and forgives whoever He pleases, then what is the point of this whole arrangement? This becomes the royal mood in the words of Sa'di. If the mood is sour, then a slap is given in return for a salam. If the mood is merry, then estates are conferred on the one who utters a profanity. It is obvious that these behaviors cannot be those of Allah. Therefore we need to see what guidance is received from the Quran in this respect. 14.1 Meanings of azab and makfirat. When we mention the word azab, the idea of hell appears in our minds, in which sinners are seen to be suffering in a severe penalty. The existence of Jahannam is a reality, and its punishment is also a fact. But according to the Quran, azab is not just confined and limited to Jahannam only. The harmful outcome of every wrong step of man is called azab, which can manifest both in the world and also in the hereafter. The expressions of these outcomes are different, so much so that the Quran has also called the punishment received by the criminal from the court as azab. As far as makfirat is concerned, its meaning is also not that of bestowing forgiveness. The meaning of this word is to provide the means of protection. From the point of view of its root. Concerning the law of requital, we have seen in chapter 4 that there is an interval of time between a deed and the manifestation of its outcome in a tangible form. During this period of respite, if man performs those good deeds due to which that damage becomes rectified that was going to manifest due to his wrong action, then he becomes saved from its harm. This is called makfirat. 14.2 Azab is the name for the consequence of wrong deeds. Now let us see how azab becomes imposed, and who are those people who are deserving of it. In Surah Al-Ma'idah, after mentioning the crimes of the Jews, it is stated, whatever they have sent forward, Muqaddamat, for themselves, it is very evil. Due to this they have become eligible for the punishment of Allah, and as a consequence of this they will remain suffering in azab. 5. 80. The elucidation of Muqaddamat has been covered earlier. It means those deeds of man whose result has not yet appeared before him. From this verse it is clear that azab is the result of men's own deeds. In Surah Al-Imran those crimes of the Jews are mentioned due to which they became deserving of azab, that is, rejection and transgression of the laws of Allah, the unlawful killing of Anbiya, and the murder of those who used to give them the command about haqq and justice. Then it is stated, O Rasool, announce to them the glad tidings of a grievous penalty. 3. 21. A little further on in the surah it is stated, those people who adopt a path of rejection and transgression of the laws of Allah, they suffer from a severe penalty in this world and in the hereafter. 3. 56. They cannot escape this azab, even by offering all the wealth and treasures of the entire world in lieu. 5. 36. It is stated in Surah Al-An'am, those people who falsify our laws, they will suffer from an azab due to their fisk. 6. 49. See also 7. 165. In Surah At-Tawbah it is stated that these opponents from the Quraysh are bent upon this tyranny and injustice because they think that we possess a great deal of wealth and possessions as well as our numbers being vast, so we can do whatever we like. Who is there to hold us to account? The Quran declares that it is this evil mentality of theirs which will itself place them into an azab. 9:55. And this azab will descend on them through your hands in the battlefield. 9:52, 9:85. In Surah Hud it is stated that these people neither reflect nor reason, nor make use of their intellect and awareness, nor heed the advice of anyone, nor pay attention to the path before treading on it. If they do not suffer from an azab, then who else will? 11:18-22, 2:7. In some verses the word remat has appeared as opposite to azab. It is stated in Surah Al-Imran that, O Jamaat Imamanin, see that you do not become like those people who created mutual dissensions among themselves, and after receiving clear teaching from Allah, began to differ with one another. They will be caught in a severe penalty. The day that the results of deeds appear in front in a tangible form, some faces will be dark and gloomy and others will be glowing brightly. Those people whose faces will be dark will be told that you adopted kufr again after having accepted iman. That is, after becoming a united ummah, you created sectarianism. Therefore taste the pleasure of azab as a consequence of your kufr. And those people whose faces will be brightly lit, they will be within the remat of Allah. 3:105-107. 14.3 The meaning of man yasha'u. From these descriptions it is clear that man suffers from punishment due to his own deeds. This is what is known as the law of requital, which in alternative words is called the law of mashi'at. Those verses in which the operator of man yasha'u is Allah, from this is meant this very law of mashi'at. It is stated in Surah Al-Araf that Moses supplicated that, O Allah, ordain for us that which is good for us in this life and in the hereafter. In reply, Allah stated that, you are fearful of my azab and wish to remain secure from it, then understand that my azab becomes imposed according to my law of mashi'at, not in this way, that we blindly make people suffer in azab for no reason. Hence there is nothing to be fearful about in this. As far as my remat is concerned, that is encompassing the whole of the universe. But among human beings we ordain it for those people who follow taqwa, organize the administration of zakat, and maintain iman in the truth of our laws. Ultimately, this remat will fall into their share. Those who will follow this Nabi of ours, reference to whom they will find in the Torah and the Injil. Bible. Who will promote maruf and forbid munkar. 7. 156-157. It has become clear from here what the principle and law of mashi'at is for azab and remat, and what the meaning of man yasha'u is. It is stated in Surah Bani Israel that, O Rasool, say to my servants that they should always say good things among themselves, remain on good terms, because Shaitan wishes to sow the seeds of dissension and enmity among you. Do not obey him, he is your openly avowed enemy. After this is stated that Allah is well aware of your deeds. If those deeds are according to his law of mashi'at, then you will become deserving of his remat. If they are in opposition to this, then his azab will become imposed on you. Now whoever among them wishes, he should open in front of himself the gates of the remat of Allah. Whoever wishes, he should impose his azab on himself. O Rasool, we have not sent you as a guardian over them, to force them to follow the straight path so that the shadow of Allah's remat remains over them. 17. 54. 14.42 Forms of Makfirat. Let us now look at Makfirat. It will have two forms. You will have observed that when there is an outbreak of disease in some habitation, the weak among them quickly become victim to it, while those who have a stronger immune system, power of resistance, Remain protected from this. This is that means of maghfirat, protection, which man acquires through his balanced conduct and because of which he simply never suffers from azab. 14.4.1 The meaning of tawbah. The second form is that a disease has attacked someone. The life of the invalid was saved, but he became very weak. The physicians recommend certain medicines and diet for this, due to which his drained energy returns. In fact, he becomes even stronger than before, so that the disease cannot attack him again. This is the second form of maghfirat, which is achieved through tawbah. At this point it is also vital to understand the Quranic meaning of tawbah. You wish to travel to some village, on the way a crossroad appears, and you step in the wrong direction. After traveling some distance, you realize and come to know that the direction taken is wrong. What will you do in this situation? You will retrace your steps to that same place from where you took a step in the wrong direction. Returning to that place like this is termed tawbah. But just returning to that place is not enough, it is also necessary to step in the correct direction from there. This is called amali saleh, i.e., right action. Just see with what clarity the Quran explains this. In Surah An-Nisa it is stated, according to the law of Allah, tawbah is by those people who take a wrong step in error, and after that, the moment they realize this, they immediately turn back. They are the ones towards whom Allah will also return. 4:17. This is the first step of tawbah. Its next step is, after returning in this way, he should maintain firm conviction in this reality about which path is the straight one and which is crooked, and then set out on the right path. 28:67. Only then will tawbah be completed. 14.4.2 Hasanate rectify the effects of wrong deeds. This will be the second form of maghfirat. The principle for this is that, remember, the pleasant outcomes of good deeds rectify the harm done by wrong deeds. 11.114. 14.4.3 Punishment and forgiveness. In light of these explanations, the meaning of yu'adzibuladin men yashayu wa yakfiruli men yashayu becomes clear, that is, that the individual who, after committing an error then remains obdurate on it, will be engulfed in azab. The one who stops doing it and reforms himself will be protected from azab. Note how the Quran has explained this reality. In Surah Al-Ma'idah it is firstly stated that the punishment for a thief is this, then after that. But the criminal who is repentant on his action, and abandons this path and reforms himself, then Allah will return to him. Surely, Allah is the one who bestows maghfirat and rahmat. 5:39. The question which arose from this was, what need was there to keep azab and maghfirat together? In common terms, punishment and forgiveness. This question used to arise because among the Jews there was punishment alone. There was no allowance for forgiveness, and among the Christians there was only mercy and no concept of punishment whatsoever. In response it is stated that, do these people not know how the authority of Allah is operating in this great system of the universe? This is operating according to his laws of mashiat. These kinds of laws of mashiat have also been defined for the communal life of human beings. It is according to these that the decision is made who should receive punishment, and whose error should be overlooked. 5:40. Have you noticed which criminal receives azab, punishment, and who receives maghfirat? Can the decision for this possibly be taken like this, that Allah punishes whoever he pleases, and forgives whoever he pleases? Not at all. The principle which has been described is that the criminal who reforms himself after having repented on his action will be forgiven. Yakfiruli men yashayu. And the one who does not cease from crimes should be given a punishment. Wa yu'adzibuladin men yashayu. This is the Quranic meaning of these words, and this is the principle according to which the decision is taken about this matter, whether the criminal is deserving of punishment or merits forgiveness. In connection with this it is stated that, Whatever is in your heart, whether you show it or keep it secret, it makes no difference to the law of requital of Allah. It makes an account of every matter. After this outcome is decided according to the law of Mashiat of Allah, who can obtain Maghfirat, and who is deserving of Azab. 2. 284. At another place it is stated, the individual who wishes to face punishment according to the law of Mashiat of Allah, he should adopt that kind of path. Whoever wishes to become deserving of Rahmat, he should do those kinds of deeds. 29. 21. 14.5 There are no favorite children of Allah. It is stated in Surah Al-Ma'idah that the Jews and Christians declare that we are the favorite children of God, hence this cannot happen that Allah will give us Azab. In reply to this it is firstly stated that if the reality is as you aver, then leaving aside the Azab of the hereafter, tell us why does Allah then give you punishment in recompense for your crimes in this world if you are indeed His favorite children? After that it is stated that Allah has neither any favorite children, nor any stepchildren. With Him it is the law of Mashiat of cause and effect that is functioning, which is applicable equally to all of humanity. The decisions for Azab and Maghfirat are made according to this very law. Yaghfiru liman yasha'u wa yu'adhibu liman yasha'u. After this it is declared that the dominion of the heavens and the earth belongs to Allah. 5. 18. Details of this have already been covered. In this same surah it is made clear that to those people who accept Iman and do salih deeds, Allah has made a promise of Maghfirat and a supreme reward. 5. 9. In Surah Al-Fath, after enumerating the lofty attributes and shining characteristics of Rasulullah and his companions, it is stated that Allah has promised Maghfirat and a supreme reward to those who have Iman and perform salih deeds. 48. 29. In Surah Hud it is stated that the recompense for salih deeds and steadfastness is Maghfirat and a great reward. 11. 11. This has been reiterated in verse 33. 35. In Surah Al-Ahzab, after listing the traits of Muslim men and women, it is declared that Allah has prepared for them Maghfirat and a great reward. 33. 35. Contrary to this, it is stated at another place that Maghfirat cannot be acquired through shirk. 4. 48. 4. 116. At another place it is stated that those people who commit kufr and zulm, and do not desist from these activities of theirs, they cannot receive Maghfirat. 4. 168. This is the correct meaning of Yaghfiru liman yasha'u wa yu'adhibu liman yasha'u. This belief that there is no procedure and law defined by Allah, and that He can give Azab to whoever He pleases and can forgive whoever He pleases, is against the fundamental teaching of the Quran, and is a negation of the true concept of Allah. See in what a beautiful way He declares. If you accept Iman in the truth of the laws of Allah and value His Na'imah, then what will He gain by giving you Azab? 4. 147. 14.6 Punishment proportional to the circumstances of a criminal. In relation to Azab and Maghfirat, the Quran has also drawn attention to another important principle. One individual is born into a cultivated family. His education and training take place in an excellent manner, his environment is well informed, he knows the law and is well aware of the consequences of crimes. He commits a crime. In contrast to this, that same crime is committed by one who is both illiterate and backward. His life was spent in an environment in which there was neither any concern for good character, nor the slightest guilt about a crime. The principle put forward by the Quran is that these criminals should not be given the same punishment. According to this same principle it has declared the punishment for zina to be half for concubines as compared to ladies from cultured families. 4. 25. And announced to the distinguished ladies of the family of the Nabi, that if some crime is committed by you, then a double punishment will be meted out. 33. 30-32. 14.7 Collective punishment. Moving forward from the circumstances and particulars of an individual, it is also essential to bear in mind the overall collective condition of a society. The Quran has stated that when evil becomes commonplace in society, then shar flies around everywhere and infects freely. 76. 7. When destruction descends on such a society, then the criminals and the virtuous all become engulfed in its folds. This is why it has warned the Jamaat-e-Momineen to make such an arrangement so that society does not become engulfed in this kind of flood. And fear tumult or oppression, which affects not in particular only those of you who resort to wrongdoing and injustice. And know that Allah is strict in punishment. 8:25. Be alert to this fitna. Take measures and plan to remain protected from it, because when it comes then it does not specifically overwhelm those due to whose crimes it descended, but all become encompassed in its grip. For example, if the bank of a river bursts due to the dishonesty or incompetence of the Department for Canals or Infrastructure, then not only will the dwellings of the officials of these departments collapse due to this flood, but town after town also becomes flooded from it. That fitna does not remain specifically confined to any particular class. The flood does not even inquire who resides in this dwelling. In these kinds of collective destructions, innocent individuals also become victim to the calamity. The reality is that an individual is not constrained by the hand of Taqdeer but is helpless in the hands of society. This is the reason that the Quran places emphasis on the reformation of collective life, and tells individuals that instead of bemoaning Taqdeer, strive to shape society on correct Quranic lines. By transforming society, the Taqdeers of individuals will automatically change. Ad-Din is the name for the correct system of society. In such a society, neither are cries heard at midnight, nor wailing in the early morning. In this the life-giving melodies of Salaman, Salaman from every direction become the sound of paradise in the ears. In any event, what we were saying was that in connection with Azab and Makfirat, the Quran explains this principle that it is essential that the particulars and circumstances of an individual and the general state of the society should be kept in view for its determination. Wherever the Quran has stated yuhazikam, to evaluate it, before yakfiru liman yashayu wa yu'atsibu liman man yashayu, it means that while evaluating this, the law of requital of Allah keeps this fully in view to what extent an individual himself is responsible in this crime, and to what extent those elements over which he had no control are responsible. This was that very principle according to which the second Caliph Umar did not punish the servants of that individual who was not in the habit of providing them with enough to satiate their hunger, and because of which they had stolen grain and eaten it. He punished their employer rather than his employees. Similarly, during the period of famine, he suspended the punishment for the stealing of grain up to the extent of the satisfaction of hunger. This wisdom is also implicit in yakfiru liman yashayu wa yu'atsibu liman yashayu, that is, the law of Mashiat of Allah also takes account of these matters. 14.8 Supplications for forgiveness from Allah. The deep pits of destruction into which this belief has pushed this nation, that najat, salvation, and makfirat, forgiveness, are not a result of man's own deeds, they are dependent on the fadl, blessing, and rahmat, mercy, of Allah, that he can forgive whoever he wishes, and he can give azab to whoever he wishes. Cannot be estimated. This belief became commonplace among them that you can commit as many wrong dealings and evil behaviors as you like, just say astaghfirullah 33 times after each namaz, and complete its tasbih after the morning namaz, all sins will become forgiven. Keep praying to Allah constantly for bakshish, since He is Ghafar ar-Rahim, He will certainly forgive you. Have you noticed what impulse is concealed beneath this granting of bakshish? Allah had declared that this is that Jannat, paradise, whose owner you are being made in return for your deeds. 43. 72. In other words, according to the Quran, Jannat is received as a recompense for deeds. But they concocted this belief that Jannat is not received in return for deeds. This is a bakshish of Allah which He can bestow on whoever He wishes, that is. According to their belief, Jannat is not a recompense for deeds, it is bestowed as bakshish from Allah. This is why they keep constantly praying for bakshish, that we wish to obtain Jannat also as a charity, not through doing anything. In the words of Iqbal, this nation of beggars wants Jannat for free from Allah. Fi sabil Allah. This is the condition of that nation whose Allah had declared. Or are you sitting there thinking that you will enter Jannat for nothing, whereas you have not yet even gone through those life-threatening stages which former nations have gone through? They had to face difficulties and dangers to such a degree in confronting their opponents, that the land beneath their feet shook, and the Messenger himself and his companions cried out, "O Allah! When will your aid, Nusrath, come?" At that time, they were given this glad tiding that, do not lose heart. Allah's help will arrive very soon. 214. This is what their Allah had proclaimed, and their messenger had informed them, that Jannat lies beneath the shadow of swords. And the condition of this same nation now is such that it solicits Jannat as a handout. How ironic! Just see where this nation has ended up due to this incorrect interpretation of man yasha. 14.9 Pride in being sinful. Not only this, but now this nation takes pride in being sinful. Among them even the big religious leaders write words like Asi and Muznab with their names. Though it is asserted that these words are written as a sign of humility, students of psychology know that the emotion of pride is concealed in the folds of this humility. The meaning of Asi is a criminal. Just think that those people who do not feel any embarrassment in declaring themselves as a criminal, how can committing a crime become a cause for guilt for them? Never mind crime being a cause for guilt, their belief is that not committing a crime is a very sinful matter. 14.9.1 If you do not commit sins, then Allah will eliminate you. This may be a surprising matter for you, and probably you will not even be ready to accept it, but it is indeed a reality. Two books of a hadith are declared to be the Sahihain, that is, extremely correct books. One among these books is called Bukhari and the other is called Muslim. There is a hadith in Sahih Muslim that Rasool said that, "I swear in the name of that being in whose hand is my life, that if you become such that you do not commit any sin whatsoever, then Allah will remove you from the earth, and will produce another group in your place, whose practice will be this, that it becomes immersed in sins and then seeks bakshish and makfirat from Allah." Whichever nation holds this belief, and it attributes this belief to Rasulullah, that if you do not commit a sin then Allah will erase you from the surface of the earth, and will substitute such a nation in your place which will commit sins and will then ask for forgiveness from Allah. Just reflect that if crimes and failings do not become commonplace within that nation, then what else can possibly occur? When this same belief came into the hands of our poets, then the gates of hell opened. They described the importance of sins with such great zeal that as a result of the sins became the aim of life for the nation, and the end purpose of the universe. According to one poet, "Are my sins greater in number, or is it your rahmat, O Allah? Only you can tell me after tallying it." 14.10 Humorous tales about the followers of mysticism. After Persian and Urdu it was the turn of Punjabi, and the poet went a step further, stating, "What is the concern there, O Rakib? All there is free, one who does good is punished, sinners are set free. O Rakib, Allah is utterly carefree to do as he wishes. The state of his freedom is such that those who are righteous there are seized, and sinners are let go free. And the followers of mysticism think they have free rein from Allah to say whatever they want. Only those who have scanned the literature of mysticism can evaluate what kinds of colorful fabrications they added in this regard. For example, one of these saintly men recounts that a devout mystic sat in the jungle for 12 years worshipping Allah. After 12 years a voice was heard saying that we have accepted your worship, ask, what is it you wish? Now he could not think what to pray for from Allah. He was sitting in this state of bemusement when he saw an elderly man approaching him, who asked him, why do you appear so perturbed? When he told him about the issue, this elderly man said, the answer to this is very easy. You have worshipped for 12 years, demand that you want adl. Justice. So he told Allah that I want adl. At this, the reply came, very well, we will do adl. You have sat on this stone for 12 years, the demand of adl is that now this stone should sit over you for 12 years. Now he understood that the individual he had considered to be an elderly man, was Shaitan, who had misguided him. But what could be done now? He had asked for adl and he got adl. For 12 years he continued to sit beneath the stone, and continued to worship Allah for 12 years after this. Then a voice was heard saying, ask, what do you want? He replied that, O Allah, I beseech your fadl. Blessings. Not adl. The answer came that we have made you cut. Remember, the demand for adl is that of Shaitan. Our servants always ask for fadl. 14.11 The influence of the teachings of St. Paul. Do you know what the fountainhead is of these kinds of beliefs? That teaching of Christianity which St. Paul invented. If you look at the letters by St. Paul in the Bible, New Testament, you will find written in them that, for it is by grace you have been saved, through faith, and this not from yourselves, it is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast. At another place it is stated, for we maintain that a man is justified by faith apart from observing the law. The belief of Christians that God is mercy became commonplace on this very basis. And these were those beliefs which also became a part of Deen among us. In fact, became the spirit of Deen, and in support of them these kinds of a hadith were fabricated that, for example, no person among you will be able to enter Jannat based on his deeds. This is the consequence of the wrong interpretation of Yaghfiru liman yasha'u wa yu'adhibu liman yasha'u and its translation that Allah gives azab to whoever he wishes and bestows bakshish to whoever he wishes. And these are the magical exhibitions and devastations of the doctrine of Jabr, Taqdeer.